Hey, have you ever caught yourself talking to yourself? Or maybe you consistently choose a quiet night in over a big party? How about wearing the same outfit over and over? You might think, oh, that's just one of my weird quirks. But what if I told you those are actually signs of a super efficient, really complex mind at work? Today, we are diving deep into the hidden genius behind these exact habits.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? We're about to pull back the curtain on the hidden logic behind these behaviors. And trust me, you might be surprised to find out that what looks a little strange on the surface is often a powerful strategy for thinking deeper, saving your energy, and honestly, just living a more authentic life.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 4 parts. First up, we'll see how some of these habits are all about protecting our mental energy. Then, we'll get into the power of deep thinking. After that, we'll totally redefine what social connection really means. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at the ultimate strength, finding validation from within yourself. So, let's jump right into that first one.
Okay, Section 1, protecting our mental energy. I want you to think of your brain power like the battery on your phone. You've only got so much juice for the day, right? It's a finite resource. And it turns out, some of the most brilliant minds are absolute masters at making sure that battery doesn't hit zero.
Now, the fancy psychological term for this is mental efficiency. But here's a much better way to think about it. Your brain isn't lazy. It's an expert energy budgeter. It's programmed to save its power for the stuff that truly matters so you can perform at your absolute best when it really counts. So this is the huge reframe I want you to make. What society often looks at and labels as lazy is actually a really smart, strategic move. It's not about doing less work. It's about saving your best, highest quality brain power for the problems that actually deserve it. And you can see this in action everywhere. You know, wearing the same few outfits, that's not being boring. That's cutting down on decision fatigue. Preferring winter over summer, it's not about hating the sun. It's about choosing a calmer, less stimulating environment. And what about that person with a messy physical desk but perfectly organized digital files? That's the ultimate example of selective organization. Your brain just knows where tidiness actually matters and where it's a total waste of energy. This whole strategy even extends to how we rest. Check out the 3-2-1 power down rule. 3 hours before bed, no heavy food, so your body isn't working overtime on digestion. 2 hours before bed, stop all work, so your problem-solving brain can finally clock out. And the big one, 1 hour before bed, no screens. Why? Because that blue light totally messes with your sleep hormones. Each step is a signal to your brain that it's safe to fully power down.
And why is this so critical? Well, because your brain operates in these 90-minute sleep cycles, and when it comes to sleep, quality absolutely crushes quantity. It's not just about how many hours you get, it's about how many complete, uninterrupted cycles you can lock in. So when you save energy during the day and power down right at night, you're not just sleeping, you're optimizing your mind's entire restoration process.
So, now that we've covered how to protect our mental energy, let's talk about how we spend it. This brings us to Section 2, which is all about the incredible power of deep thinking and how some habits that look a whole lot like procrastination are actually the engine of complex thought.
The key trait here is something called cognitive reflection. You know that moment when you pause instead of just jumping to a conclusion? That's it. It's the ability to question your very first instinct and look at a situation from all the different angles. You don't just react, you reflect. And that tiny shift is the secret sauce to smarter problem solving.
So that habit of procrastinating on a really big decision, it's usually not laziness at all. It's your mind working in the background, subconsciously gathering more info, running simulations, and analyzing every possible angle to make sure you get the best outcome. What looks like indecisiveness from the outside is actually deep analysis in action.
And there are other telltale signs of this. Talking to yourself out loud? That's not crazy, that's verbal reasoning. It's a way to structure complex ideas. Taking long walks by yourself? That actually activates the brain's creative networks and lets you connect ideas without any distractions. Preferring silence gives your mind the space it needs for thought wandering, while those intense, short obsessions with brand new topics, that's your brain just feeding its powerful curiosity system.
I love this quote because it just perfectly captures this whole shift in perspective. When you see someone choosing to be alone, it's not about avoiding people. It's about entering a deeper state of thinking, a rich, internal world where real problems get solved and brand new ideas are born.
And that leads us perfectly into our third theme, a completely different approach to social connection, one where the focus is 100% on quality, not quantity. The psychological principle here is called low social dependency. And let's be crystal clear about this. It does not mean disliking people. It just means your happiness and your self-worth aren't fueled by what other people think. You're self-sufficient. You can find comfort and even entertainment all inside your own head.
And here we go again. Perception is not reality. Someone who really enjoys their own company isn't antisocial or cold. It's much more likely that they're just highly selective with their social energy, and they get drained really easily by shallow, surface-level conversations.
And here's exactly why that happens. For a mind that loves depth, small talk feels like a total waste of that precious mental energy we talked about earlier. These folks have high standards. They'd much rather have one genuine connection than 10 shallow ones. Their brain literally needs more time to recharge after socializing. And a lot of the time, their identity isn't tied to some group like a sports team. They know exactly who they are without needing a jersey to prove it.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most important section. It's all about a true superpower, the ability to find validation from within.
Internal validation is knowing your own worth without needing likes, comments, or praise from anyone else to confirm it. It's this quiet confidence that comes from living by your own standards and your own values. And honestly, in a world that is constantly demanding we perform for others, it is a superpower. This table shows the contrast perfectly. So, an externally validated person might share something online to get likes. An internally validated person shares for authenticity or maybe just chooses privacy. One person might see a birthday as a chance for attention and gifts. The other sees it as a time for quiet self-reflection. Even self-doubt looks different. It's not a fear of what others will think, but instead it's intellectual humility, that simple, confident awareness of what you don't yet know. So, if you know someone who almost never posts on social media, who treats their birthday like just another Tuesday, or who values one deep conversation way more than some empty tradition, you're probably seen the signs of a really strong inner world. They aren't looking for approval from the outside because they already have it, from themselves.
Okay, let's bring this all home. The single most important takeaway from this entire explainer is this. These habits that we've been taught to see as weird or lazy or antisocial, they are not flaws that need to be fixed. More often than not, they are highly efficient, incredibly effective strategies that a complex mind uses to navigate a very noisy world.
And that leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you. Now that you understand the hidden psychology behind all of this, how will you start to reframe your own habits? What so-called quirk of yours might actually be your greatest strength? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.